We're going to be creating our gift card holder box now, and this is a really cool little project for you. And as you can see, I did go masculine on mine. This paper was in their occasions catalog, and this was called True Gentleman, and the plaid was my favorite. So I wanted to create this for you and have it be more masculine, but of course, you know, you can always change out your colors, change out your designer series paper, and just make it your own and create it to be more feminine or cutesy or whatever you want it to look like. So this is pretty straightforward and kind of simple to do, so I think you're going to enjoy making this one. And the way that this works is I just have a belly band wrapped around this to hold it closed, and this was also part of the True Gentleman suite, and this is a corduroy Night of Navy ribbon. It feels fabulous, but it's probably not going to be available anymore. You could check the website and see. If it's not, just use whatever ribbon you want to use. Now the way that this opens is just fold out those two side flaps and the top and the bottom. I have a pretend gift card in here, and I've held my little band closed around it with some magnets. So that would just go inside there and shut just like that. If you don't have magnets, you can use Velcro, you can use a glue dot, whatever is going to work for you, but I just decided to use the magnets for this one. So let me set this out of the way. We'll go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start with my vanilla, or very vanilla, and my envelope punch board. This is cut to 7 by 7. All of the measurements is in the instructions. I'm going to start out by scoring this on all four sides at 3 3/4 inches. So get that lined up at 3 3/4 right there. Punch, and then score. We're just going to do that on all four sides. Okay, now that we've got that done, we're going to score a second time going all the way around, but this time we're going to score at 3 1/4 inches. So slide that back over to 3 1/4, punch, and score. Then just go around, 3 1/4, punch and score. Now when you get through, you're going to have some little square tabs right here. We do not need those. So you can do one of two things. I just recommended cutting them off, which you can do, or if you want to, you can cut straight up that little score line and then just cut these at an angle like you would if you were making any other box and keep them. It's totally up to you. I'm just going to go ahead and remove them for the video today, but when you're making your box, you just decide which way you want to do it. We're going to round the corners. Every envelope punch board should have this feature. When you put your paper in at the top and punch, it's going to round all the corners for you. Now, we're going to fold and burnish all of our score lines. Alright, we've got that done. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my Night of Navy that is 3 7/8 inches and my designer series paper that's 3 3/4 inches. You can use the adhesive of your choice. Well, I just knocked that across the table. I'm just going to use my Fast Fuse. Stick these two together and just make sure that you have an even border of the Night of Navy all the way around. Then we can just stick this in the center of our box. Just get that lined up within all of those score lines and stick that down. Alright, now let's go on and make these little pieces right here. Oopsie. These little triangular pieces right there. I have my 2 pieces of Night of Navy and my 2 pieces of designer series paper. I'm using the largest square from the Layering Squares framelits and the next size down to cut out these papers. So the largest is going to do the Night of Navy, the next size smaller I'm going to cut out the designer series paper. What you're going to want to do next is to cut each of these squares in half, making them into triangles. So I'm going to take my Night of Navy and I'm going to line each point up with my cutting track, and I like putting my blade down in the center because a lot of times if I try to come at this paper from that point, it'll scrunch up the end of my paper if my blade is not really good and sharp. So I'm going to do that again on my second piece of Night of Navy, and then on my Designer Series paper. And because my Designer Series paper is not as thick as cardstock, I could actually put both of them on there together at the same time and just cut them both and save myself a couple of seconds. I'm going to take my envelope punch board and I'm going to take each piece and put that in there on the corner rounder end with the flat side facing me, and punch each of these pieces and round off all of those corners. What we need to do next is just put all of these triangles together. You can use whatever adhesive you like, and what I'm doing is I'm lining up the two cut edges so that they're even, and then leaving a small border around these two diagonal sections. So let me show you that one more time. Line this up down here even with the cut edge. Give myself an even border on both sides. So do all four pieces the same. Let's go ahead and move on to getting our band for the center done. Now, I'm just going to rob this pretend gift card out of my other one. And what I'm going to do is just lay that gift card right down there in the center, fold my belly band around it from the bottom and from the top. Make sure everything is straight. Then I can take my bone folder and kind of give that paper a little bit of a crease. Then I'll remove it and I'll crease it better. I'm going to show you how I used magnets to hold mine closed, but like I said, if you don't have magnets or you choose to use something else, then that is perfectly okay. I think I bought those off of Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. And the reason that I like using them is because they're really super thin, and I just feel like it doesn't add a lot of bulk. So I'm going to stick one of my magnets down to a glue dot, and then I'll take that and attach that right there. Then I'm just going to drop my other magnet into place on top of it. But well, I thought I was. Hang on a second. There we go. So what that does is it makes the sides that are attracted to each other stick together, because there's been many a times that I have not done that first and put my adhesive on the wrong side of the magnet and they repelled. So then I'm going to fold that side closed, take my other part and push it down, and then when I open it, I have magnets stuck to both. Then I can put my card in there and close that just like that. Now, to hold this into place, you can just use some fast fuse or whatever you want to use. Just stick that belly band right down in there, and there we go. So now we'll go ahead, I'm going to flip this over and we will put these little pieces into place. Now, you can use fuse, you can use tear and tape. I'm just going to throw some liquid glue on here. The reason I'm using liquid glue is it gives me a minute to move this around when I get it stuck in place. And so what I'm doing is I am lining this cut edge right here even with that first score line. So let's do that again. Put a little glue, line that score line up and that cut edge right there beside each other. Then repeat all the way around all four sides. Okay, so our card is pretty much done. Or actually, well, I guess you could consider this a box card maybe. I'm calling it a box because it kind of is a box and it kind of is a card. So anyways, I'm going to set this to the side for just a minute and bring in my last two pieces of cardstock. The stamp set that I have used is the Special Celebrations. I really like this stamp set. I've had it for quite a long time. It was actually one of the first ones that I bought, and the reason I like it is because there are sentiments in here for all kinds of occasion. Birthday, baby, for my friend, special couple, so wedding. There's 2 or 3 here for wedding. This says this card is filled with love, congratulations, which could be for anything. Hope your day is good, happiness, health, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, there's lots of different sentiments in here. I'm using the happy birthday. Got that. I'm going to be using my Night of Navy ink. And I want to have this put on my card like this so that it is going across the square and making it more of a diamond appearance. I hope that makes sense. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a minute. All right, I've got a line drawn across the back of my stamp because I can't see through this one. And so what I do is I figure out where the happy is. I draw a line across the back so that I know that I'm stamping straight. And then I use the lines on my grid paper to kind of help me place it. Perfect. Now again, we're going to be using our layering squares. I've got this one and this one. I have those sizes marked out for you in the instructions as to which size you need to be using. I'm going to grab me a little washi tape and stick this down to hold it in place exactly where I want it to be. And basically what I'm doing is just lining the word birthday right up in the center. Okay. Now I'm going to run these through my Big Shot and get both of these cut out. We can attach our sentiment to our Night of Navy, just like that. Then we're going to build our little belly band. And I'm going to cut a length here about 10 or 11 inches long. Somewhere about that size is fine. Then I'm just going to lay that down, wrap that around my card like this, make sure that it is going to fit. Get an idea of where I need to put my adhesive. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run some fast fuse, or you can use tear and tape. I just don't have my tear and tape here handy. I do believe in the instructions I said that I use tear and tape, but fast fuse works fine too. But I probably used the tear and tape on the first one that I made. So get that stuck down just like that. Get that slid over so that all of that's going to be covered up when I put my little tag on top of it. Run some of that adhesive across the back. So in other words, make sure where your stamp is stamped, and then when you flip it over, put your adhesive going the same way that your wording is going, so that when you stick that down to that ribbon, your adhesive is going to be running left to right and not up and down and sticking to your package. So here we are. This is our gift card holder, which is a box card. And like I was saying, this one is kind of masculine, but you can change it up to do whatever you want to do with it. And I did not put any decoration on the back of mine. If you want to add some paper to it, you can. I just figured that nobody's really going to be looking at the back anyway, so I just didn't see the need to decorate the back of it. But it's your project, and if you want to decorate the back, you go right ahead. So that is this project. Now let's move on to the next one.